No traffic on the way to work today, guys. Let's go.
I represent a company that's in the business of separating those who excel from those who are mediocre in skills. The name of my firm is
Morgan 2020.
Lefkowitz and Sons.
We're lost. I'm just not telling anybody. Because I kind of generally know if we keep going uphill, we'll get to the top of the mountain. But I got no idea where we are.
Today and every day, I'm standing here in your closet, unbuttoning all your clothes. I'll sleep in your bed tonight, but I'll never find you home.
Yeah.
You're giving me crooked answers, I'm cracking your little code. I'm learning another language, so full it's about to
To me.
explode.
Either way. Come on, turn. Good. We'll say hi to David.
Hi, David. I'm one of you.
And if I can do this, I can sure cold call.
If I hook these guys up in the back of your pickup truck and say go, huh? They pull you back. Or we do it.
Now that went really well. This is my first time ever doing the script, and it went really, really well. I scheduled 2 meetings for the next couple of days, and I actually ended up talking to someone who owned the company, and I got a job order from him because he was impressed with the presentation, and he wants that type of talent in his organization. So, went well.
Yeah.
From personal all the way to professional level, you guys have been amazing. The best watched grow as well through a lot of the things you guys have been through as well. And I appreciate every minute, every day. It's been up, it's been down, but mostly up, and I love it.
Nice.
I wouldn't want it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Listen, this ALS thing, I'm all about it. I think everybody's been a little bit drastic about the whole thing. I'm down with it. I'm going to nominate some people. This is cold water, and I'm good with this. That's it. I am good with this. I am totally good with this. I nominate every member of my family, Taylor, Isaac Lefkowitz, Cindy Lefkowitz. I nominate all of my students that are at this particular program to take the challenge.
I swear to God, if I had something like this in front of me, would have fast forward everything easily like 2-3 years in. So I'll let you take over, Peter.
Yeah, it's called Recruiter's Playbook, and we designed it so that if you knew nothing about recruiting, but felt you had the skills to go into the business, without having any training other than this thing, you could make it through your phone calls. Not that we recommend doing it that way, but when you log in, you'll end up seeing a dashboard. On the top line is everything that comes out of a recruiter's mouth to candidates, and the bottom line, everything that comes out of a recruiter's mouth to clients. And when it's time to make a brand new biz dev call and we click on new client call, why don't you read this? And you play with it a little bit. So it's auto-populated with a guy named Steve, because in my planner, the client that I'm calling is a company called ABC, and Steve Smith is the guy. And so when I click on that, it auto-populates their name into the script. So give it a shot. This is Peter.
Hey, Steve, my name is Benjamin Mena. I know my name's not familiar to you, but earlier this morning, I took part in a staff meeting in which your firm and your specific leadership became a focal point. I was excited by the meeting and volunteered to give you a call. Do you have a moment?
I do now. Got my curiosity going.
I'll be brief. My company is hired by some of the strongest DoD accounting department in the Department of Defense industry. Our clients catch a lot of recognition because of the high skill sets of their VP titles. The bar is set high, and they don't compromise very often. We are the search firm they use to cherry pick the talent when HR or the other agencies miss the mark. Do you still have a minute? I'd love to tell you why I've called you specifically.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if they come back and say like, hey, we don't use internal recruiters, like, here's what, hit that objection button over there.
Okay, so I go to the right side to the panic button, and
I use internal recruiters.
Quite frankly, so does my firm, Ben, and that should always be first choice. Unfortunately, your HR department is forced to use social media sites, LinkedIn, Monster, Career Builder, whatever. The proven problem with job boards is it gives your company exposure to people who are literally on their way to you at the time of capture. These are candidates proactively waving resumes around, and most often for reasons that may have a negative effect on their performance. Maybe we can both agree that rock stars typically are not a part of that proactive group. On the other hand, our candidates, they've got their heads down, they're not self-promoting, they're cranking out strong work. These are the folks that need to be tapped on the shoulder just to look up long enough to realize there could be opportunity outside of that bubble that they're in. That's where the real talent is. And my job is to figure out what's missing in their desires for progression and then match them to our clients. I'd like one shot at proving my skills to you.
So that's a great rebuttal that popped up. And then if there's another rebuttal, like we don't have any openings, there's one right there, or your fees are too high, will you discount, or HR won't approve that.
It just gives you all the answers that a rookie never would have dreamed of for a couple of years. The debrief and the prep are the two places where most deals are lost. You know that when you're debriefing a candidate, most people just start off with, how did it go? Did they talk money? Really? Who brought it up? We do it a little differently. Ben, let's get started. I'm going to begin with kind of an unusual question. Find me the one best word that you can use to describe the interview that you had. And whatever word comes out of his mouth is going to set the tone of knowing that the interview went well or it didn't, and I can adjust a little bit. Now what I'd like to do is I want to break things down into 5 individual components that I want you to respond to. Let's start with the people that you met, okay? Who'd you talk to? What were your impressions? Describe the chemistry. You think you can work well together? Were the personalities and images of the employees that you saw, what were they like? You think you'll be compatible with the culture? Let's talk about the duties of the job. Was there a difference in those duties from what you knew from me going in? On a scale of 1 to 10, how capable are you of handling the job? Let's talk a little bit about challenge, man. Do you think that this position is going to keep you intellectually stimulated or challenged? What do you think you're going to add or subtract? So it's real complete, and it gives us the feedback that we can throw into the notes section over here on the right side that can then be transferred to the client. We think that brand new people only know what you teach them, and if we expose them to the right things from the start, they're going to have a much better shot. We also believe very heavily that planning is important and that people follow their plan. Everything that a recruiter needs to do during the day, if they're a full desk recruiter, from MPC marketing to just general new client call marketing to scheduling interviews, doing recruiting calls, calling into a company and finding out who does what, preps, debriefs, closing, reference checks. If you need to debrief a candidate on their first interview, like we just did, I just click on that, and then I go to this little icon, and it automatically takes me to the script that we just did without me leaving my planner. Want to recruit a candidate, and I have sourced that candidate's name. It happens to be Josh Smith, who's the Chief Security Officer of Giant Corporation. I just click on his name and then go to the little icon here and click on that. Josh, Peter Lefkowitz, we haven't spoken, but I had kind of an interesting chat with somebody, and towards the end of that conversation, we focused on you. It motivated my call. I work for an organization that's hired by what many people consider to be some of the strongest, most promising startups, all the way through large publicly held corporations within the surveillance and security industry. But within that space, we primarily focus on their management, CSOs specifically. And these clients of ours have caught recognition in that space because of one primary fact. They've set the bar of quality for their CSOs at an incredibly high level. Leadership won't compromise. They refuse to hire mediocre talent. And frankly, my company is the company they use to do that talent selection. On the candidate side, we work with security professionals that range in title from yada, 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 all the way up to CSOs. But regardless of their title, they all share a common theme, and that is that somebody has pointed them out to us to be in the top 20 percentile of their skill set. And those kind of players have their heads down, they're producing strong work, they're not waving resumes around job orders. Most higher performance folks like that need to be kind of tapped on the shoulder to even consider a change. I guess you could say I'm that shoulder tapper. So the bottom line is we're a search firm with a specialization in yada, yada, yada. And I just want you to know that you're not call number 13 on a list of 500 CSOs. The person that I spoke to today did a pretty nice commercial on some of your skills. And here's what I know about you. And then I need to list the things that I heard in the referral. But if this was simply from a LinkedIn profile, you're not call number 13 on a long list of CSOs. I was asked to do some research on your company's security department, and your profile particularly caught my interest. My thoughts were that you might have a little bit more potential or a little bit more horsepower than your company might be tapping into. And I don't know if you feel that way. But I just wanted to know quietly, would you have an interest in keeping your ears open to a situation that might be a little stronger fit to your strengths? What are your thoughts about that? And yeah, I'll keep my ears open. You got to test it. Can I ask why? I talk to a lot of folks and not everybody says yes. Why the interest? And now we look for career wounds. Okay. And we get to a point where we have them give us a short 1 or 2 minute walkthrough of a quick snapshot of your responsibilities. This is a micro interview, and we pass judgment. Are they good communicators? Do they have pride, self-esteem in their voice? Are their technical skills appropriate? And if so, then we move to a full-fledged interview. Want to take the call to the next step? 2 things I want to cover with you in that call. First, I want to give you an opportunity to brag on yourself a little bit, toot your own horn, tell me what your strengths are, where you can add value to a company. But most importantly, I want to give you an opportunity to design this next step up in your career. I want you to tell me the ingredients in a role that would make you feel complete or whole as a CSO. And while you're explaining that to me, I'll be mentally matching you against our docket of clients. And if there's a good fit, I'll explain it. I'll give you an opportunity to quietly explore it. But if it's not a good fit, you've got a guy named Lefkowitz in your back pocket who knows your skills, knows your wish list, and only when something surfaces in the future that's a fit, I'll make you aware of it. Is that the kind of relationship that you could see having with us? And when that candidate says yes, they still know nothing about the job. Why have they become a potential candidate? Because this call has been all about who. So let's set a time that doesn't take you out of prime work. We can either go early or we can skip lunch, work through that time, or anytime after 4. And in prep for our meeting, I want you to think about 5 things. It's going to make our meeting more efficient. So first thing I want you to think about are the titles of the jobs that you would accept. Secondly, I want you to think about that role in your environment. But I want you to break that role down in an unusual way for me. I want you to make that role divided up by the percentage of time spent in different functions of your job. And I also want you to tell me what industry you have a preference to. You have crossover skills. So I'd like to know where you'd like to do your security work. Talk to me about the corporate culture that you would thrive in. And then finally, let's talk a little bit about compensation. Okay, just got to be realistic. The market is good for candidates right now, but every time you say no to an offer, there are 4 or 5 people that'll crawl up the back of your leg and take that offer, right? So let's just don't undervalue yourself, but let's be realistic, okay? And so after we set up the time, we just click on add to the plan, because here we put in the date and the time of the call, and that will auto-populate directly into my plan of action under interviews that are scheduled. And then when it's time for me to do the interview, I just click on that little icon. Thanks for taking the time to talk, Ben. After our last conversation, I was excited to hear more. Let's define the process. I'm going to cover 3 things with you today. The first is going to be skills assessment. I want to hear how strong you are amongst others that actually do what you do. How do you stand out? I also gave you 5 subjects to think about in prep for our meeting. Can't make you any promises, but if I don't know what you're looking for, I can't even get you close. And the third thing we're going to talk about, different quality search firms have different expectations of candidates. So I'd like to talk to you about what you can expect from me and vice versa. We'll talk a little bit about the etiquette in working with a firm like me. And then we go into the interview. I want to know where you're positioned in the org chart. I also want to see your breakdown of skill sets. 40% of the time you're doing due diligence because you're a director of M&A. And I'm going to ask you, if due diligence is the macro duty, break those down into micro duties for me. What are the ingredients that go into your due diligence? And when a new recruiter is done with this, they know so much about what a candidate does. Some clients that buy this thing just for this, it's called Boolean search, not Boolean. And when they click on it, it's a Boolean generator. The only difference is that all of these things here are different fishing ponds that we have pre-coded Boolean strings for. So just to give you an example, if the client's looking for a senior developer, also known as a programmer, also known as an engineer, they need somebody out of healthcare, they need to have exposure to these languages, they need to be in New York or New Jersey area. If you don't want to pay for LinkedIn, we just click on LinkedIn and we got 201 results because we used the and. Anybody that came up in results has Java, HTML, CSS, and Python. If we went to or, now we go from 200 to 2,300 candidates. If we want just contractors, we just go up here to a different fishing pond. If we want rogues, people that are not on social media, they're on their own blogs, or they've developed their own websites, or they're on forums and they talk about themselves, we go to a little fishing pond called I Am A, and it'll only bring up these kind of people on the left that talk about themselves like this. Maybe I'm a senior developer. She is a .NET senior developer, a .NET. He is a former senior engineer. These are all coming out of websites that nobody would ever think about going to. Like, you want diversity candidates? Click on that. You want subject matter experts, people that have been asked to speak at conferences? You'll only get people that have been keynote speakers. And then we got the ability to check on all of these people here. If I check on these 3 people, I can either add them to the planner automatically, and they'll go right into the recruiting section of the planner, or I can export them into a CSV, and we now have the ability to export and import into Loxo, Bullhorn, Aviante, Relate, just about all of the primary. Okay, I'm done selling. We'd love to show you how this works. Believe it or not, it is very inexpensive, guys. It's one price for as many people as you have in a company.
That's kind of nice.
Anyway, thanks, man.
That's awesome. Well, Peter, thanks for coming on, man. This was great.
I loved it. We'll talk to you later.